The Estimate Master Preferences screen is actually a conglomeration of a few different things. On the left side, you see a list of, upper left, you see a list of tax districts, counties, state, whatever, and the tax rate for that district. And below that is markups. And you can have as many markups for different customers as you want. Now, going back to taxes, you can have up to 3 taxes assigned to materials and parts, and another set of taxes, if you want, or the same, assigned to labor. So if you have, for example, if you have a tax rate, a general state tax, and then you have an add-on for a county or a city, whatever, you can add those together by just assigning, picking the item from the list and click the assign button. When you add a tax item in the list here, you need to specify this checkbox to include markup in the tax calculation or not. By most cases you probably do include the markup, but it's up to you. Piggybacked, really I think it's mostly Canadian provinces, where some Canadian provinces taxes and calculate on top of the general GST, or the GST is calculated on top of provincial tax. I don't know which it is. Either way works. But you need to have at least one tax item, and if you don't generally work with taxes, you should have a 0 item taxes and assign that to estimates. Markup is the same way. You need to have at least one markup item. It can be 0 or any rate you want, and that applies to all the materials and labor. You can apply different markups to labor and different materials if you want, or the same. Also, you can, for either taxes or markup items, you can exclude the general markup or the general tax from any particular item on your materials list or your labor list. If you put no in the tax column for a particular item, that item is not taxed or is not included in markup. If you say yes, then the general tax or general markup is calculated including that particular item. So you have a lot of flexibility in markup, especially because you can exclude items in markup. For example, if you buy materials and there's a tax already included and you don't want to, or there's a markup already included and you don't want to pass it on to the customers by adding another markup, you can exclude it. So a lot of flexibility in markup and taxes. The other thing to be aware of, on the bottom middle column, there's something called auto assign. In other words, you can pick a tax rate, assign it, and pick up a markup rate, assign it, and then click this auto button. What that means is whenever you create a new estimate, that tax up rate or rates and markups are assigned automatically to the estimate as soon as you create an estimate in the estimate screen. So if you have a preferred or a default, it gives you an option of having a default tax and markup for new estimates. So there's always going to be a markup added, which is shown on the customer screen. Whatever you see on the customer screen includes it, or a markup is included on the preferences screen. You can always override it. If you want to change for a particular customer, you can add different taxes or use different taxes and use different markups for a particular customer. But the auto feature, auto assign and markup, is gives you the ability to automatically assign a default set of taxes and markups. On the rate column, are operations for the database, principally sync with iCloud. Sync with iCloud. That allows you to share the database between users, and that goes for Mac users or iPad users. It's the same database for both, exactly the same. For example, just show you how it works. I empty the database. Now I've got nothing in the database, but if I say sync with cloud, it's going to bring in whatever's in the cloud, the Apple iCloud, in other words, and put it back in your particular device, whether it's a Mac or iPad. So if you're sharing it, if you have two of you doing estimates in your business, and if you have both use the same iCloud account, whenever you say sync with iCloud, the changes you've made, let's say you've just done an estimate for a customer and you want your colleague to see that estimate in his database, you just say sync with iCloud, and your changes go into the database, and he does a sync with iCloud, and then the changes you've just made and now become visible to him. So it's a way for you to work off a common database for multiple users. You can also back up or archive your database to an email address, and the email address is whatever you have in your My Company tab. So you can archive your database periodically by just doing a backup to email, and you can restore it anytime you want to. So it gives you the ability to archive your database by date and time. It's pretty much, the rest of it's pretty much self-explanatory. There's a help button on every screen that explains the details about all these various options.